Hey there, Tori Halliwell here. Want to take a moment and thank you in advance for joining me, whether you're joining me live on Facebook or you're catching my replay. So excited to be sharing with you today. And what I'm going to be sharing with you are two observations and lessons I picked up and learned from while I was exploring the Alaskan wilderness a couple weeks ago. So for those of you who don't know, a couple weeks ago I had this amazing opportunity to go for a week and explore Southeast Alaska and really just be absorbed into the wilderness. And the thing about Southeast Alaska is that it's still so untouched, and so it truly is a wild place. Wild animals are just everywhere, and I spent a full week just observing bears and whales and killer whales and bald eagles and sea otters and sea lions just totally in their natural habitat, and it was amazing. And as I was spending this week just observing these wild animals, two different observations started to really stand out to me, and I really wanted to share these observations with you because I think we can learn two really great lessons from these wild animals. So in this week's video, I really want to encourage you to embrace your primal animalistic side, to listen to the call of the wild, and just see how this resonates with you. So just kind of bear with me. Ha, pun kind of not intended, now intended. Okay, so observation number one. What I started to pick up on is that these animals, primarily what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these animals, were the bears I was watching, brown and black, the whales I was watching, the killer whales, the sea otters and the sea lions in particular. These animals, they are just living to survive, right? They're living to survive, they're living to pass on their genes to the next generation. They are just full out survival mode all of the time. And so to really survive in the Alaskan wilderness, they are single focused. These animals, they are not multitaskers. And what I picked up on is that they are so in the moment in what they're doing. You know, when it's time to eat, they are eating. They're eating and foraging whatever they can find. When it's that time of year to mate, they're looking for that perfect partner to mate with. When it's time to build that nest, to raise the young, to hatch the eggs, whatever it is, they're focused on just doing that. And so these animals, they are single focused in whatever task is in front of them. When it's time to nap, to restore their energy resources, they nap, and they nap hard. When it's time to eat, to get that energy to build up for maybe it's hibernation or migration or the colder weather that's coming, whatever is coming their way, they'll focus on eating. And that's, you know, when they're eating one thing at a time. They're not, oh, I'm gonna have this and I'm gonna run over here and I'm gonna grab that and I'm gonna do this. No, single focused. And so watching this, what I started to pick up on is that animals, they focus on one simplistic task at a time, and they devote all of their energy and all of their resources to that one task. And so it's really important for us to kind of take a step back and think about how are we multitasking in our own lives, and when are we being really singularly focused, and how is that impacting how we show up. When we multitask, first of all, there's no real thing as multitasking. Our brains are just not equipped to do that. We are animals when you kind of boil it down. We just have evolved differently than lots of other animals, but we cannot actually multitask. When we think we're multitasking, really our brain is ping-ponging back and forth from one task to another, but we're never really focused on just one thing. We just kind of go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So multitasking, really what's happening is that oftentimes we are not being as productive. We're actually not working efficiently. We are getting distracted. We aren't putting our best effort forward. We're not moving as deeply into the project at hand. Maybe we're not thinking as deeply or as strongly. Maybe we're not problem solving as quickly because we're being distracted and disrupted. So what I learned is that these animals really focus on one task at a time. They're reserving their energy resources. They're maximizing their time because they're not getting distracted. And so when you think about your own life and how you might feel like you're all over the place and out of control, or maybe you wish you had more time, or that things were a little bit more simplistic and easier, I really want to encourage you to look at how often are you multitasking and where are you multitasking in your life. Because if you really were purposeful, and it can be hard to break this habit, but if you're really purposeful on trying to only do one single task at a time, really see if that does save you time, if it does save you some energy, if it creates a few extra precious moments for you to be able to do other things that you love in your life. And so I really want you to incorporate and play around with this lesson. Lesson number one from the animals is really just focusing on one task at a time. If you happen to be at work and you're focusing on a project or an email blast or whatever it is, and someone comes because they need help or they interrupt you, put that task aside, deal with the problem at hand, give them the 100% of your focus, and then go back to your project. Instead of trying to write your email while you're listening and press send while you're trying to problem solve, right? Our brains just don't work that way. They don't ping pong back and forth that way, and you're wasting your time when you could have just put the email aside, dealt with the problem at hand, and then gone back to the email. Now that's just an example, but I really want to encourage you this week to play around with focusing on one task at a time and see what it brings you, and see how your stress levels react to it, and see how your efficiency and productivity go up. Okay, lesson number 2, this is a fun one. What I picked up on and learned from watching these animals for a week in the wild is that animals, just like us, they love to play and they love to have fun. And it's not just the baby animals. You know, we see baby animals all the time, roughhousing and playing and developing their skills for the wild and survival. But here's the thing that I learned that I had no idea about. Adult animals love to play. And when we think about play in the scientific terms, play is any sort of activity that we engage in that doesn't have a survival purpose. So, for example, I saw humpback whales splashing their fins against the water for fun, jumping around for fun. I saw sea lions, grown sea lions who were playing tag in the water for fun. I saw bald eagles soaring. They weren't hunting, they were just up in the wind, catching the wind, whatever, the air currents, just soaring and floating and having some fun. And so what really struck me is that animals, just like us, they enjoy taking a break from survival mode and just engaging in fun activities. And for them, this is huge because it's all about survival, right? So when they're playing, when they're having fun, they're risking their lives. They're using up some of their precious resources and their time and their energy to just enjoy a few moments of play. And so what I really want to ask you and want you to consider is, you know, what are the benefits of creating some time in your day and in your life for a little bit more play? We all know that when we have fun, when we relax, when we indulge in play, that stress levels go down. Usually we get to connect with other people, maybe who have similar interests. So there's that social connection, that social bond that we form. Oftentimes it allows us to think differently, usually more creatively, or we kind of sharpen our critical skill set. And so incorporating play has lots of ripple effect benefits. And it's something that the animals are doing naturally, and it's something that I think that we should really develop and also embrace in our own lives. So with that, the 2 questions I want to leave you with, the first one being, you know, where in your life are you multitasking that would be more beneficial if you just focus on one activity at a time? And what would that look like for you? And how would that kind of shape and differ the way that you're showing up? And the second one is, what is play for you? What does that mean for you? Where is it in your life where you go into play mode? What are you doing? And how can you incorporate more of that play into your life? What does that look like? And when you incorporate more play into your life, how do you see yourself showing up differently? And how do you see yourself responding to stressful situations and to work and to all the things that you have to be doing? How do you start showing up differently when you incorporate a little bit more play into your life? So those are the 2 lessons I learned from observing wildlife for a week in Southeast Alaska. Totally unexpected, but I have been thinking a lot about it since then. That's why I wanted to share it with you. So I really want to encourage you to quit the multitasking because it's not serving us, and I want to encourage you to step up your game of play because it is serving you. So if you have any questions, if you want to touch base, if you want to leave comments about ways that you incorporate play into your life, leave a comment or reach out because I would love to connect. And until then, have a fantastic week, have a lot of fun, and I'll talk to you guys all next week. Bye.